we're back to talk about inclusivity.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Up and going. So I'm Danielle, hosting the Hopeful Connection today, and I'm here with Katelyn Hellmer, who is now overseeing inclusivity.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back and to talk about this new kind of t-shirt shop that we have been doing for around 2 months now. It's very exciting, and hopefully we can kind of spread the word about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah, so tell us, what is it that you're doing?
So, InclusiviTee, we are based in Nixa, Missouri, and we are a custom t-shirt shop, and the focus that we have is to shine some light on our works and consumers that are engaged in that, looking for employment. So there's a lot of different opportunities through the shop for these individuals. And so the first one is volunteer work. So we are able to use InclusiviTee as a volunteer site to expand our job skills, our team working skills, decision-making skills, as well as tactile skills. And so a lot of our consumers have been using it to gain that experience of expectations that you would have to follow in a real job. And then the second one is it's a really great creative outlet for them. And I really would like to see individuals that we support have leadership roles in different employer settings, different job settings. And on the employment side, it can be hard to find jobs that allow that creativity side and to allow different accommodations that you might need in an employment setting. And so we're able to kind of fine tune those things and determine what those would be on the volunteer side. And hopefully in the future, we're able to kind of grow that and employ some individuals through the shop.
Yeah. Okay. So you referred to it as a t-shirt shop.
Yes.
But it's actually so much more than just a t-shirt shop. So what are you making besides t-shirts?
So as of right now, our biggest thing we're making is t-shirts. We can do, we do what's called DTF on our shirts right now. We want to look into expanding into different materials, different types of printing. And then we also are doing some welcome boxes. So contractors who get started with Restoring Hope will receive welcome boxes from Restoring Hope, and our consumers are the ones who are gathering the items, packaging it, making sure the items are ready to be shipped. We are also looking into expanding into creating business cards, flyers, things along those lines.
Okay. So what does a typical day at InclusiviTee look like?
So typically, when consumers arrive to work at InclusiviTee, we kind of have a list of what needs to be done. So a to-do list, I guess you could call it. And typically we have several orders. So currently, I think we have 6 or 7 orders we're waiting to fulfill for this week. And so these will be itemized on a to-do list. And there are different stations. So we have a pressing station. We have the packaging station where we need to make sure we do a final review of the shirt, make sure everything looks good on it, and then we will package that into our boxes or into our bubble mailers. And then we also have a shipping station where we are able to print our own labels and create that shipping process from there. And from that point, we take the items to the post office. We can just drop those off since we've already created all the shipping labels and things that are needed to ship them. And after that, we receive a tracking number, and we need to attach that tracking number to the order where it was. We have a Shopify store. So on the Shopify store, we're able to have them link that number to it. So that gives the customer real-time updates of when it's shipped and when it should be delivered.
Sure. And so the individuals that we support at Restoring Hope through our employment services, they're a part of every piece of that.
Yes, I really, me and my coworker, Madison, who assists with this, we are really wanting them to take ownership of each role, each step of this process, and then we're here to provide them the support. So that's kind of why we have it broke down in stations, and we can assign consumers to a station, and then that for that day, that is their responsibility to fulfill that step.
Okay. How is that going? Like, what are you seeing as far as the individuals with their talents and the new skills that they're learning?
So one of the first things that I noticed as we got started with this is we are able to design logos for people. So some customers will bring their own business logo and say, hey, I want this used. And some people are like, hey, this is kind of our theme. We're looking for this. And we can give them those keywords and give them like, hey, this is the theme that they're looking for. And they can design logos using Canva and different things. And so they're able to use their creative minds and put that into some software. So they're getting those technical skills using computers. And that was something that we've worked with as well. So not everybody is going to know how to operate a laptop. And so through that, they've gained those skills. They're able to be creative and put that down on paper. And then another thing that I've noticed is in a group, we can have 4 consumers. And so that is really where you will be able to identify where they are where they're needing to improve any team working skills or how to work as a team. And so that resembles to me when you're working at a job, you're going to have coworkers. How do I work on a team with other people? And so you're really able to see that come out and then support them through it and say, okay, so you're wanting to do this, but your coworker is wanting to do this. So what are our options? Are we able to compromise and find a way for you to both get that done? And so I think those are 2 of the best qualities that I see coming out of the shop, but I think that there's probably a lot more that we're still going to learn.
For sure, yeah. It's still so new and still can go anywhere at this point. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for growth in the t-shirt shop. We're about to close our 2nd month, I think, of being open with InclusiviTee. And so I think that there's a lot of room for growth. And I think that as we continue on, we're going to see more of those areas that we want to pinpoint and learn before we're in the competitive work field.
Yeah.
I think that the t-shirt shop is going to be very successful. And I think that we have a lot of consumers who are very passionate about it.
For sure. Yeah. Have you had any individuals who maybe don't want to be a part of it or start in the group and then they're like, okay, this isn't for me?
Yeah, we have some individuals who are using the t-shirt shop more for skill building and volunteer work, and they don't necessarily love the work. So they're wanting employment in different fields. So for example, we have one consumer and she really wants to work with animals. That is really been like what she's indicated from the beginning when we started working with her. And so through the shop, she's working on some of those skills that I talked about with communication. And then another thing is focus. So you have to be focused for extended periods of time in most jobs. And so maintaining focus on certain tasks, but they're not wanting to do the t-shirt shop long term, but this is a really good stepping stone for their next step.
Sure. So they're kind of learning more of the soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I mean, they are learning the hard skills as well, but maybe that's not something they'll take into their next adventure.
Yeah. I don't so some of the steps, to get very detailed, we break them down into steps. So each step has multiple steps. But so one of them is actually pressing the shirt. So, you're using a commercial heat press, and that's very hot. You adjust temperatures for different materials you're pressing. And so on my side, we want to address any safety things and make sure everybody's using it safely. So one of the biggest tips that we have to follow, one of the biggest expectations, I should say, is we have to wear heat gloves when we're pressing shirts. And so I think I'm seeing if someone is forgetting to do that step, other of their consumers, which would be considered, almost like their coworker, are saying, hey, did you forget a step? And they're like, oh, my gloves. And so I see a lot of them holding each other accountable to make sure that they're following through on everything very thoroughly.
Sure. Okay. And Madison, she's the employment specialist who is supporting these individuals through the t-shirt shop, InclusiviTee. So can you tell us what her level of support looks like as far as making the client successful?
Yeah, so I think Madison plays such a valuable role in every step at InclusiviTee. And so as we're doing these things, she is continually making observations about things that she sees that could be improved, areas that we want to address in our one-to-one sessions. And so if she's noticing anything, she can provide that support in real time. So if she sees someone, hey, you forgot your gloves, or she might word it as something along the lines of, hey, let's make sure we reflect on the steps for this heat press. And so they'll go back and review it and then be like, oh, this is what I forgot. And so she's able to provide that support on site, but then she's also able to make observations and take notes of areas we want to continue developing.
Okay, cool. Speaking of development, tell us about maybe some recent projects that InclusiviTee has taken on.
Yeah, so we had a pretty large order. I think it was 78 shirts. They were through Restoring Hope, and they took those on and they did a really good job. This one was a little bit more challenging for them because it included a step that we had never practiced with before. And so it included pressing logos on each of the sleeves of the shirts. And so when we did our first practice shirt with it, it did not look quite right. And they
have to line up.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
And they all recognized that. They were kind of looking at it and they were like, something's not right about this. And I was looking, and they ended up doing some research, and they figured out that there's a specific way that you need to fold the shirt so that you get the sleeves in the perfect position to apply that logo and then press it. And so that, I think, was a really cool learning process for them. And I think they feel a lot more equipped to put logos in those areas. And then another one that we recently did is we had a summit, and they did a merchandise table at the summit, and we did 3 different spring colored shirts. They kind of came up with that the entire design process of that, and they kind of connected, well, this is being done in the spring, we should choose some spring shirts, and they picked out the colors and they pressed all of those.
Okay. So InclusiviTee has a Facebook page.
Yes.
Where individuals can get on there and follow them on social media. One of the things that they do each month is a shirt of the month. Can you tell us about the shirts of the month?
Yes. So in March, we did one that is connected to the funding cuts that people in our community might be familiar with, as they are directly going to impact services that we provide. And it was a really powerful shirt, I think. I think all of them connected with it because each of them have a passion for different things that they have in their lives that might be from Restoring Hope or other services that are connected to that. That shirt did really well, I think, that was our first month that we launched, and I think it went really well. In April, we did one that is more connected to spring. It's a beautiful green color, and it says Hello Spring with some other designs kind of around it. And then we have not released our May shirt yet, so
stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that one. Yeah.
So it sounds like between the shirts that you were talking about with the logos on the sleeves and then the first shirt of the month, that they really take a lot of pride in their work. And so what have you seen as far as the individuals, taking on that responsibility for how the product appears?
Yes. So when we first got started and we were practicing, one area that is very challenging is making sure that your logo is level. So when we first got started practicing, a lot of the logos might be a little leaned more to the left, more to the right, and you don't really see that when you go to press it, but then once you are done and you're looking at it, you can tell. So they knew that was an area that they wanted to figure out, and for us to be able to sell a good product, that had to be something that was fixed. We can't ship out a shirt that looks like that. And they figured out several different things. So they found a laser. So there's a laser that you can put on your heat press, and it can kind of show you in the crosshairs of where the center of your shirt is at. And then we also have some different positioning tools that are kind of like in a V-neck or in a crew neck style that you can place on the shirt to kind of identify with that area as well. And then this can still be challenging. Sometimes, there still are areas, but they're able to say, hey, I messed up on this one and we shouldn't sell this one. And I think that is a big step because we know that we want to have a good product. And so they have been looking and they've showed me a few different things that I'd like to get. And one of them is almost like a ruler, but it's in the shape of like a cross, and you can adjust different. So if you wanted your logo to be higher up, you can put it, at the 2 or 4 inch so it would have more accuracy. So I think something like that, they continually are figuring out what is going to be the best way for them to do these things. And I think from Madison I's perspective, that's how we can support them, is finding those tools and those resources that are going to allow them to be successful and to have that accuracy in that.
For sure. So, okay, employing people with disabilities is mainly what InclusiviTee does. So can you talk about some of the accommodations that InclusiviTee is able to make?
Yes. So, for example, we have an individual who struggles with her eyesight. And so when you're designing things on a computer, sometimes the font size or the screen size of that is not going to be large enough to see them. And so we recently had a coffee bar through Works, and we wanted to design our menu. And at first, she was very hesitant. She did not want to be a part of this. And so through talking to her, she shared, I would do it, but I don't think I can see the letters on the laptop. And so a very reasonable accommodation is finding a way to enlarge this on Canva and through your laptop, and she was able to put together the menu that we used out on our tables for both of these coffee bars. Another example of a reasonable accommodation that we do at the shop is at our printing and our packaging station, we are able to have chairs there when needed. So standing for long periods of time can be difficult for one of our consumers. And so by using the chair as needed for that, they're able to still do the same exact steps, but we can provide that accommodation in that way.
That's awesome. So it sounds like, one of the things that you're doing through accommodations is advocating for the individuals. What is the balance between you advocating for them and them being able to advocate for themselves?
I think a lot of our consumers are great advocates for themselves. And so I think they can identify different areas that they want to bring to our attention. And then for others, advocating for themselves is very difficult. And so that's where me and Madison can be that advocate for them. So we might see someone struggling to do something, but we don't see a lack of effort. So we can see that they're motivated. We can see that they're trying hard, but they don't want to ask for assistance with that. And so we're able to say, hey, we've noticed that when you are at the printing station, you're struggling with typing in the stuff on the screen through it. And they might say, yeah, this is what the issue is, and we're able to go from there. And then with accommodations, if we see something that we think would have improved them, there's always a tool or a slight adjustment that you can make to help that be an easier step for them. And it still is a very thorough process, and it doesn't affect the outcome.
Sure. Okay, so it sounds like things are going great. Things have been really positive, but I'm sure through the last few months there's been some challenges. What challenges has InclusiviTee faced or the individuals faced?
I think as we have gotten started, determining how we are going to get things shipped out in a timely manner. So right now we are using the shop as volunteer work, and so we meet on Fridays. And so we meet from 11 to 2:30 on Fridays. It's a short time span, and so sometimes we might have a lot of orders, and some weeks we might not have as many orders. And so trying to find that balance so that we are able to consistently give them enough work, but not overwhelm them. And so kind of spacing that out and making sure we have a really good timeline for the day, and that what the work that we're providing with them is reasonable for them to get done in the time frame we want, I think was something. So for example, when we got started, we did fulfill a custom order in the first few days we were open, and that was really exciting. And so kind of helping, I think the thought of that was like, oh, this is real. I think it was a little overwhelming, and they were like, oh, like this is real. Like we're selling this to someone. It's no longer practicing, and this is like the real deal. So I think the thought of that was very serious for them. And so helping them with that first order, I think they just wanted our help because they felt the pressure. Yeah. And so I think that was fun for me and Madison to watch, because we had been practicing for, 4 or 5 months, probably. Yeah. So we'd been practicing, and they were at the point where they knew what they knew the steps, they knew what they should be doing, and they had been doing it just kind of naturally. They weren't thinking about it. And then once I told them, okay, we are official, and we have our first paid order, they got really nervous because they were like, this is real. And so that was fun. But they knocked that order out of the park, and I hope that we have repeat customers from that because we love doing that for them. And then I'm hoping to secure another custom order. I've had some inquiries this week from other businesses too. So I'm looking to connect with everybody and gain our customer base. And I think that all of the clients are very thankful for that as well, because that is kind of what we base our days around and create our to-do list I talked about. We kind of just take our orders as they come and try to delegate those out to them in a timely manner to get those to the customers.
Sure. Okay, so InclusiviTee is located in Nixa.
Yes.
But is it limited to serving Nixa and the surrounding communities?
No, absolutely not. We have a Shopify store, and so on our Shopify store, that's where you will see our T-shirt of the month. We have some other Restoring Hope merchandise on the store. We have some other companies that are interested in potentially putting their merchandise that they're wanting to order from us on the Shopify store. So that's definitely something we could do. If you're wanting to have repeat orders, we can definitely list things on our Shopify store for you. And then if you just want one shirt, we can design one shirt at a time. If you want bulk orders, we can do bulk orders. And if you want custom orders, you can always email me, and I will put together custom codes for everybody and go from there.
Okay, so if I'm a business and I want to order, let's say 12 T-shirts for an upcoming event, what does that process look like for me as that business?
Yeah, so on our Shopify store, you will see an inquiry page. You can send me an email through there. You can also email me directly, and I will gather the information that I need from you. So typically I need to know what sizes you're wanting, colors, and if you want logos on the front and back. And then I will take that information and I will design the shirt. I will send you some proofs, and we will get you a quote for those items. And if you approve it, we will go ahead and get that started. And once that has been completed, we will ship that out, or you can do local pickup, and I can send you an invoice through QuickBooks, or you can purchase through our Shopify store if you wanted to go that route.
Okay. So do I get to pick the quality or type of T-shirt that you guys are printing on?
Yes, absolutely. We have, we can get anything from Gildan, heavy cotton, to comfort colors. I would say some of our most popular shirts are Bella Canvas. Yep. Those ones are really nice and lightweight and soft. So I think those are a customer favorite. And I personally really like comfort colors. But we can really get almost any shirt in any color.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So website, Facebook, those are the best places for people, businesses to connect with InclusiviTee? Yes.
So on the Restoring Hope Facebook page, they're in one of the drop downs. I think it's under programs. You can find the InclusiviTee shop, and you can click on that, and it'll take you directly to our Shopify store. and you can browse what we have there. And then if there are custom orders that anybody's interested in, you can reach out directly to me, and I kind of will give that information. If you want us to make a design, I give that to the clients. They will work on that. They will put it together. And then once I approve it, I'll send that back to the customer and say, this is what we created. Can you tell me your thoughts, or if there's anything that you would like to be different on it, and we'll work on that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you see in the future for InclusiviTee?
I think the next step that I would like to learn for them is how to do business cards and brochures or flyers, something that's a quality business card or a quality brochure. We have done some research into this, but we haven't found exactly what we're looking for to match the quality that I'm wanting. We've tested out some different items, but I don't feel like they're the ones that we want to go with. So we're still looking at that. And so hopefully in the next month, we are able to kind of decide and have our direction we want to go for that. And then past that, I would like to maybe look at doing custom like signs or flags even. I think that those would be an option with printing. For shirts, some different types of printing that I would like to look into is sublimation. So it is a different type of printing that is with ink. And so it is a different process, some different steps. We haven't tried that yet. And then lastly, I think after we nailed sublimation, something I would like to look into is embroidery.
Okay.
I think those are really quality, and I think that I've had a lot of people with interest in those. Yeah. We don't currently offer embroidery on shirts or any items like that, like hats. But I think that would be something that I would like for everybody to learn.
Awesome. And are the individuals working there, are they excited about these things? Are they talking about these things?
Yes, they are excited about them. And I think that they are eager to learn any of these steps. And we have several individuals who really, really enjoy the t-shirt shop. One of our consumers, he does such a good job, and he has been working through our pre-vocational steps, and this summer we really feel like he's ready to start going out in the community and looking into trying to find employers and stuff. And he's really not wanting to do that next step because he was like, I don't want to leave the shop.
Comfortable.
He's like, I don't want to leave the shop. And so we're having those discussions with the individuals who really enjoy the shop and seeing like kind of next steps with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a balance between, them being comfortable, but not getting stuck there.
Yes, that's kind of what I want to make sure that we don't fall into. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that me and Madison specifically want to make sure when we're having these conversations with consumers, we're using language that's very very direct about it, because I don't want people to feel like, okay, I'm going to be volunteering at the shop for a long term. And so we want to make sure that the focus is still on building employment skills and getting to the next step of having employment in the community. And so kind of finding that balance between those, because the shop is very loved. And it's a great place to learn. And I think that I think on the employment side for me in Madison, we've been able to customize those accommodations and to provide those things. And so finding the employers for integrative employment that can also do that is going to help our consumers feel a lot more comfortable with that next step.
Mm-hmm. And maybe being able to work with those employers and providing training on here's what we do that makes this community feel included and welcome and safe, and maybe sharing that knowledge and expertise with other employers could be beneficial.
Yes, I think that is honestly one of the key parts of being an employment specialist is trying to find businesses or small business owners or managers in the community who are interested in learning about these things, because they are very valuable to the workforce. They offer a lot, and they are going to do a really good job. They're always going to be willing to learn and improve. And so I've talked about this before, about doing a training with employers that had interest in these things. And so I would, if we ever had any employers or anybody interested in that, I would love to have those discussions. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe even not a formal training, but some kind of group where we can just collaborate on those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think that, any type of connection you can make, whether that was, you get started with someone and they are like, well, I have a friend that does this. I think that's how those connections are made. And I think that's how we find valuable employers.
For sure. I agree. Anything else you want to add about inclusivity?
I'm overall very excited to have this opportunity with inclusivity, and to be able to offer this to our consumers that are in the Works program. And I'm excited to see the areas that they grow in. And I think that we're going to have a really big impact on this opportunity for employing individuals that have disabilities, because I think employment, there's a lot of barriers. And I'm hoping that we can remove those through this and kind of set an example for a lot of other employers of ways that we can do things for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely a need in the community.
Yeah, I agree. We have worked with some really good employers, but we still need more. We're looking to build a lot more meaningful connections and find employers who want to work with an employment specialist. And so I'm hoping that this is a way that we can set an example and to kind of lead the way to what we need as a whole.
Do you think that there is a stigma in the community against working with employment specialists or partnering with a employment program?
There can be, yes. There have been many times where we go into a business to network. I've been on the podcast before, and I've kind of talked about elevator pitches. Yeah. And I've gave a rundown about those. And so when you go to network, that's what you want to go in with and try to talk to a manager, talk to an employee that works there, and kind of do that elevator pitch. And so there's been many times where we have been into a business and they will say, like, we've worked with job coaches in the past. We've had a really bad experience and we don't work with them anymore. And then there's also been times where they just say, like, we don't want that. I think that sometimes it's viewed as a liability for their business. And so I really just try to, challenge that a little bit and just say, well, can you tell me about your experience and what happened? Because maybe we can do things differently and change your mind about this. Yeah. And sometimes that's effective and sometimes it's not, and they are not interested in that. And so I always say, don't give up. Maybe you leave for today and you come back in a month, because in a month they might have someone different in that position and they might have a different stance on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so important, just breaking down those barriers of stigma. I mean, when we talk about barriers, we're thinking about someone who, is vision impaired or someone who uses a wheelchair or something like that. But also those barriers that maybe are not visible as far as just the stigma in the community of that's standing in the way of someone and their dream job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there has been a lot of growth with employment services and just the presence in the communities, but we still have a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. Okay, so you are the on-site manager for inclusivity.
Yes.
Madison is the employment specialist for Restoring Hope. What has been your experience as a manager working with an individual who is supported by an employment specialist?
I think from the manager perspective of doing it, I also have a background in this, so I probably have a different perspective. What I see whenever Madison or a consumer comes to me and says, can we change this step? Can we adjust how we do this? I like to ask questions like, can you tell me what that new step would be? Can you tell me what that would look like? And if that is something that we're able to adjust, it's not going to impact how they're working or the outcome of the product, I think that making that a reasonable accommodation is very easy to make. Now, if there are situations where they might come to me and they might say, hey, so-and-so is wanting to do this with that item, but there's not necessarily like a reason why we need to change that long term. And so sometimes you just have to say, like, I can see why you want to do that, but that's not going to take place because it's not we're not able to change our process. Yeah, so sometimes the consumers are like, well, I just want to do it this way because that's what I want to do. Well, I understand that we want to do things that way, but the reason why we don't have it set up that way is, we're always thinking about safety. We're thinking about the quality of the product. And so just because someone wants to change it, I don't want to make those adjustments. But if there's a reasonable accommodation, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a theoretical example.
Okay.
So let's say we have an individual. They have an autism diagnosis, and they have they're affected as far as sensory. They don't want to wear gloves. I'm assuming you wear gloves when you're pressing the T-shirts to protect from the heat.
Yes.
If someone comes to you and says, hey, I cannot wear these gloves, what's your process?
So that is a great example. I'm going to counter it with something that's an active conversation that we have. So in the T-shirt shop, we have a dress code. We want you to wear, pants. We want you to wear closed-toed shoes. And we have an individual who does not like wearing closed-toe shoes. It's a sensory issue. Sure. And so we counter that with, okay, what can you wear that is something that allows you to have a closed toe? So they might hear when we're saying wear closed-toed shoes, you might hear tennis shoe. You might hear a boot. You might hear one of those things. Well, there's a lot of other shoes that are not as tight. There's slip-ons. There's Crocs, things like that. And so those are where we go to figure that out. As far as gloves, we do require the gloves. And so I think if that was the main concern, we might start with, why don't you try doing this task with a different type of glove? So it's not a heat glove. So it's not going to, the heat gloves have like grips. Mm-hmm. And so we have other stations.
Big and bulky.
Yeah, they're big, they're bulky. They might not be used to wearing gloves. And so, you might have a mitt, like an oven mitt. Things like that. Those are looser. And so we might say, okay, well, why don't you try to wear these other types of gloves that are not heat gloves, and you can try to do our shipping station so you can get familiar with it. And I think that familiarity helps. And then we would try that and go from there.
Yeah. So it sounds like a large part of your job is really just listening to them and helping them identify tools or solutions to whatever challenges that they're facing.
Absolutely. I think that the best way to support someone is to start with them, because they are going to know more about what they need and what's going to work for them than me and Madison will, just because based on, we can support them for many years and they're going to know what works for them and doesn't.
Well, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Well, thanks for the quick update on InclusiviTee. We're excited about it and excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
Check them out on Facebook and on their website. And thanks, Katelyn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. If you guys listening to this are interested in any custom shirt orders, please reach out.